Hello there, and welcome to IQT's The Quantum Dragon podcast. My name is Brian Siegelwax, and I'm feeling unsecure. My guest this episode is Rebecca Krauthamer, CEO and co-founder of QuSecure. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you say that the PQC market is splitting between early movers and laggards. I imagine that everyone listening to this podcast understands the importance of migrating yesterday, but what are the implications for QSecure when these laggards finally wake up en masse? Imagine, for example, you wake up one day and your inbox is overflowing with emails from organizations that are essentially in panic mode because of some announcement. What are the consequences for you and for them for not just waiting too long, but of waiting way, way too long?
Hmm. That is a great question. I think it would surprise most people who are not either CISOs or in cyber to really understand how behind most organizations are. And the reason for that is that cybersecurity is a hard job. There's always something going wrong. There's always something that you as a cybersecurity leader are juggling. And it's like juggling these fires. And so when something isn't an immediate issue, when something isn't like blinking red in your face, then traditionally, right, as a cybersecurity leader, you put it on the back burner. And for a long time, fixing the quantum threat, the migration to post-quantum has been that. It's been a future issue for a lot of organizations. Well, now we're seeing these timelines for migration get pulled in, right? We saw in March, Google released a paper, or Atomic released a paper saying, hey, we're getting closer and closer to a cryptographically relevant quantum computer. And so Google pulled their internal migration timelines into 2029. Cloudflare did the same. We anticipate that the US timelines will get pulled in at some point. So we're reaching this kind of critical period where there are now, in many cases, 3 years left for this migration. Well, turns out when you're a big organization and you go in and start looking at what it takes to make this migration happen, it can take up to 10 years to do it with traditional methods. And so that's why we're really seeing this split, like you said, of organizations that started, let's say, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and they kind of understand the scope of effort this takes, because it's everything, right? The quantum threat affects anytime data travels between points. It's any asymmetric encryption. So a handful of organizations understand the scope, and it's big. And then most other organizations are way back here just starting and about to have this big shock of, oh no, I have to do 10 years of work in 3 years. And so what are the implications? Well, the implications are that it's already blinking red. A lot of people just don't see it yet. But we did see a big catalyst moment with the release of the Google and Atomic papers that woke people up a little bit. The implications are, when we started at QSecure back in 2020, we got an initial grant from the Air Force, and they were essentially our first customer. So we got to roll up our sleeves, dig in, and look at what it takes to make this migration to post-quantum cryptography really happen in real life. And one of the first things that was clear to us is this is, thanks to NIST and all the really brilliant people that had been working on building these post-quantum algorithms for so long. the PQC algorithms were not the problem. The problem was change management. The problem was actually carrying out this migration. So what we ended up building is something that does accelerate those timelines and makes it takes that 10-year migration and can make it a 1-year migration. And so the implication is that people are going to need acceleration. And that's where we come in.
Acceleration. Accelerating timelines. I inefficiently take notes while you're talking. It's the hesitation there.
Nice.
So the product that you were just speaking of, I'm guessing that's QProtect.
That's right. That's QProtect.
Okay. Well, then you partly answered my next question already because I saw QProtect R3, Recon Resilience and Reporting, and it screamed out to me U.S. military, and you just said you worked with the Air Force first. So when I see the U.S. military, I think of higher military standards, demanding standards. So what do those higher standards mean for your civilian customers? Is it overkill? Do they get the same thing? Do they get less? And how does that work?
Another great question. And I know you served in the Army. Thank you for your service. We serve both, right? So QProtect R3, reconnaissance, resilience and reporting. We had to get that alliteration in. Um, it's find your problem, do that inventory and discovery, fix it. Don't just look at it, migrate it to PQC and crypto agility, and then report on it. Anyone who asks you, your boss, the auditors, whatever, you've got that CBOM, which has become a big word in the space, cryptographic bill of materials. Um, and yes, we started out and we kind of said, hey, this is encryption, this is cryptography, this is really sensitive stuff. If we can get this right, uh, to the highest degree, which within military, we work with Army, we work with Air Force, we're starting to work with US states. And so if we can kind of get this going to the highest levels of compliance, then we can absolutely serve private sector as well. And that's the approach that we've taken. So we recently became the first and only company in the PQC and crypto agility space that has the sponsorship to achieve something called IL6 later this year, which is the ability to protect classified data, classified workloads within defense. So yeah, everybody gets the same product. Everybody gets the quote unquote military grade protections. And now we work across sectors with everyone who you might expect who's doing this, banks, telcos, energy sector, pharmaceuticals have become a big one lately. But anywhere where you wouldn't really want the data to be accessed by a bad actor, that's where we play.
So I don't know if you can answer this, but I'll ask it anyway. So the military grade difference, so there are NIST protocols, and what's the difference between the higher standard and I guess the published standards? Like what makes it
Mm.
acceptable by the Air Force, it's and so forth?
There's a separate set of like NIST. There's this umbrella of NIST 800 that governs a lot of these compliance measures within US Gov. And if you've heard of, I'm talking about IL6, if you've heard of FedRAMP or StateRAMP, they have all these different compliance levels to be able to work in the government and protect classified data in different scenarios, different settings, different branches. But they all roll up kind of to this umbrella, which is different from the NIST standards, the NIST PQC standards. The thing that we solve for, and we're not doing anything to the algorithms per se. What we're doing is we're facilitating the deployment, control, and management of those. Um, and so I think it kind of surprises people that that government compliance doesn't really have anything to do with the PQC algorithms. It has everything to do with the broader platform and making sure that that is incredibly secure, that that is hardened under all of those specifications. So you go through this rigorous testing and patching and certification process over years, several years, oftentimes, to get to that place. But it's more kind of like everything around these algorithms, the hardening and the beating up of those to make sure that it can handle essentially protecting that the most sensitive data under whatever kind of attack that it might be under.
Sense to me. So QSecure was awarded AWS Qualified Software Certification, and I have no idea what that means. Does that give you access to AWS customers, or what are the benefits?
Hmm. Yeah, you do your research, man. Um, we are, yes, we are on the AWS Marketplace. You can come find us, come say hi on there. One of our, we want to make this as easy as possible for people to find and to use. So that is certainly one of the places you can access QProtect.
I will be linking to it as well. And for my last questions, Forbes said that you're America's best startup employer for 3 years in a row, including 2026, so that's ongoing. Are you hiring? And if so, what makes QSecure stand out as an employer so much that Forbes keeps recognizing you for it?
This is among all the things that the incredible team has done. This is possibly the one I'm most proud of because culture is everything. The people are everything. It's why we've been able to do what we do. So I think we've just really externally and internally we've emphasized trust and building that trust, doing whatever we can to build that across the team, to build that with the people that we work with. And I think that that pays dividends. So it's a place people want to work. It's very mission driven. We're doing something that we feel really passionately about for protecting society. Um, and we are really, I would say, particular about bringing in people who are trust builders, people who are always going to overperform, who are going to do what it takes to build each other up, to build our customers up. And so, very, very proud of that recognition. We are hiring. So we're hiring across the board. One of the biggest places that we're hiring deployment engineers, forward deployed engineers, these people who go out to the customer site and can put the product in place, again, build that trust with the customers. We're hiring on the government and the public sector and federal side, so leadership and business development on that side. We're hiring for marketing. Basically, if you're a cool person, if you've worked in this space, if you've worked in networking, and you are passionate about security, about post-quantum cryptography and crypto agility, give me a call. My email is rebecca@qsecure.com. Feel free to reach out.
I will link to that. Plus, if you have a page with all the jobs listed, I'll link to that too.
Perfect.
And with that, I'm all out of questions, so the floor is yours to say anything else you'd like to say.
When it comes to PQC, uh, like you said, anyone listening to this podcast is probably in the know. But when it comes to post-quantum and crypto agility, which are really kind of inextricable, we've been talking about it for a while. We're still talking about it, but the next 2 years, 2027 and 2028, we're gonna hit this perfect storm of, all right, we got to stop talking about it and we got to start doing it and compress again that 10 years into 2 years. So it is going to be a wild ride over those next 2 years where we see that adoption start to take off in earnest. And that is good. That is great. We will see actual change, actual momentum. And I think that will also be a great catalyst for further investment in quantum computing, quantum technologies, quantum sensing, right? Quantum communications. So I am very excited actually for these next couple years in both security, but also quantum.
Sounds good. Thank you again for joining me on IQT's The Quantum Dragon podcast, and thank you to everyone who's still listening. As always, I invite you to stick around for the outro music. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. Enjoy.